Steve, how are you feeling about things after 3 results against 3 tough teams in League One and getting 3 decent results there?
Yeah, listen, I think it's more akin back to what we spoke about performances, and if the performances are right, results should follow. And I think in each of those games, probably the results to the neutral would be a bit right. We should win at Lincoln, probably more comfortable in 2 draws against Stockport and of course the other day at Huddersfield, probably a bit right, but it gives us confidence going into what is arguably a big week for us again. Obviously the focus is quite rightfully Bolton Wanderers and Charlton, and sandwiched in between that, of course, we've got the Virtue Trophy with Chesterfield, but the focus is the 2 big league games.
I mean, as you quite rightly say, it's a big week, isn't it? Because if you were to win those 3 games, momentum would be through the roof, wouldn't it?
I think momentum was good going into Huddersfield. I think the Lincoln performance created backed an expectation from the supporters for a type of performance that we should be delivering week in, week out. And I think we went to Huddersfield, and if there's a team unfortunate not to win the game, it's possibly us. So, but we'll take that point. Everyone recognises how good it is when you see Huddersfield go to Wickham and win the game. And I went down and watched that. So it's arguably we have another real tough opponent coming in Bolton Wanderers. They've just spent $1.25 million bringing in Joe Randall, so it shows you the ambition that lies up at the Reebok.
Yeah. And when you play them in a game like this, at the stage of the season where you're both at, this feels like a big game for both teams, doesn't it?
I think it is a big game. Evers become under a little bit of pressure, but every time he seems to come under a bit of pressure, his team deliver a big performance and a big result for him, and that's credit to him and him only, and his staff, of course. So we're under knowledge in just how tough tomorrow will be. It will be very tough against an opponent who at the start of the season, I don't think there's one pundit didn't have them in the top 2 for promotion. So it shows you the class they've got in their squad. But we're looking forward to it, and we're looking forward to the challenge.
These 2 teams highlight the challenge of expectations sometimes, and you could throw a Peterborough into the mix, couldn't you, and probably a Lincoln and 1 or 2 others in there. There were high hopes, weren't there? But sometimes that can be difficult to deal with.
Yeah, I think there's one team that's has exceeded all expectations, and that's Wickham Wanderers. But if you look at the investment in the wages and the type of things that's happening at Wickham, it's credit to the new ownership. It's a fantastic model, very similar to Wrexham. Only difference is Wrexham have that Hollywood feel with the 2 guys who have put millions in. The owner at Wickham's the same. Other than them, I think there's 3 or 4 disappointing ones in terms of where they think they should be. We're one of them. So we've got a second half of the season to make that up.
Injuries? Any news there? Any good news?
We've said Chris T's fit, but there'll be a reason why he's not included tomorrow. And Sean Raggett is on the grass and running. So we're probably talking Sean being fit and available for Charlton.
T, there's a reason for him not to be available.
The football club has agreed a fee for Chris. We're a club in Europe. Chris has never hidden it since I joined the club that he would love to go back into Europe, obviously with the restrictions on his family being here, etc., because of visa restrictions, etc., for family members at our level. And that fee has been agreed and evaluation has been met, whether Chris has travelled there today. So whether that returns Chris to signing there, we'll know in the next few days.
Is the possibility of any other players leaving, Steve, as you try and maybe rework a few things within this squad?
I think there's always a possibility, Rob, because everyone has a value. If you'd have said to me last week, will Chris T be leaving the football club? Well, I said unlikely, probably not, although he had his desire. And I think in fairness to our chairman and board, they've set a value of that player. The first offer was made last week, it was rejected, second offer rejected. But I think on about the 4th point of an offer, it met the terms that was requested by our board. So that happens. But we're also working very hard to bring players into the football club, and that work will continue to go on. But we have to make sure that we're bringing players in who add to what we've got and not the same or a bit less.
A couple of others on T. He's a former club record signing. Is the club very happy with the financial of this deal? Are you getting a good offer for him?
I think we get our money back plus. So I think the offer is that our chairman is the level that our chairman set it at. Rob Scott has done a great job. He's been able to go and deliver that. And so from that point of view, it's the right deal for the football club, considering it's a player who said he would rather be there than here. And I mean Europe by that, not just another club. It's certainly not an offer we'd have been looking at to take from a club here in League One for sure, and there was interest.
And with him moving on, potentially, does that mean the midfielder adding another one is very important now?
One is a minimum. You know, we're already in the market for one or two. And obviously, if and it's only if at this stage, if Chris decides that he shoots Eliza, which I think it may do, if he decides and signs and that goes through, then that likelihood is it increases our number by one other.
Mm. Humphreys and Bramall definitely staying then, Steve?
Well, staying for now.
Yeah.
You know, I can't call whether Pep Guardiola picks up the phone and wants to take Cam Humphreys back, or
they'd be all right with that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, or Arteta phones for Cohen. I can't tell the future or what's in other people's plans, but we've no reason. Our squad is minimum numbers now. If you look at Sean, will miss tomorrow, but back available next week. But if you take Sean out, every other first team player will be stripped. Every other one. So it tells you how light we are in numbers.
And with the Dauphin, is there going to come a point in this transfer window where the club either signs him to a new contract or sells him, Steve? Or are you happy for him to sort of go through to the end of the year with an expiring contract?
My personal view is I don't think he'll be going through to the end of the year. My personal view is he won't be leaving the football club in January, but it becomes a football club decision as to where they go with a new deal. There's a lot of things you control it rather than United, and you're given final say on ins and outs completely. The chairman is brilliant at that. But in respective levels or new offers or contracts or things like that relies on the board, and I have to respect that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I detected a degree of confidence there that he might stay then. Is that fair based on what you just said? Or
again, unless somebody comes out of the woods and puts something in that's a way above where probably the club value him, then he'll stay. He's a great lad to work with. I've never hidden. I'd like that to continue going forward. But I think we must respect that the football club must be allowed to make their decisions within their own timescales.
New centre half, is that important with McCart being sold?
No, I don't think so. No, the way we are. Listen, if the right one's available, we could look at it. But I think with Raggy coming back fit, you know, we've obviously got the two boys who are in the team at the minute. We've got Sean Raggett, we've got Cam Humphreys, who's been brilliant midfield but can step back in there. You know, I think he's playing with a lot more confidence now. I think his confidence has gone a little bit. And Reece James, as you've seen, played 15, 20 games there for Sheffield Wednesday in a promotion season at a League One and a 2 and a 3. So we're confident we've got players for that position if we need to.
You have been linked with a striker at St Mirren, Mikhail Mandron.
Nonsense.
Nothing in that one then,
Nonsense.
Steve?
Absolute nonsense. I worked with Mikhail at Gillingham, and he was very good for us for a spell. He was very good. French lad, brilliant lad, a lovely family, but actually I read it this morning and chuckled. Agents.
Is anything close at this point, Steve?
Yes.
It is close.
Well, not with Mikhail, it's not.
No, not with him.
No, if it was
But
Mikhail.
somebody else.
The person that would know if I wanted Mikhail Mandron would be Mikhail, because I just ring him. No, in all seriousness, Rob is in real deep dialogue with some. You know, I'm being given permission to talk to players, but not that the deal's been done or anything like that, but just have a chat. Because the one thing that I have to be assured of is that they want to play here. Because when I arrived, not everyone did. So I have to make sure that players want to come and play for this club and this badge in this town, and that's as important to me as their ability that they have to want to wear the shirt.
Yeah, and how easy is it to find people you can be really convinced about that? Because I can imagine, Steve, you've had a long managerial career. You've probably sat across from a player and thought, right after that meeting, he's desperate to come and play for this football club that I'm managing, and maybe 2 weeks in, you've decided he's pulled a fast one. So how difficult is that?
Well, it happens. You know, I can remember being at this football club, and we gave Kieran Agar permission to sign for Leeds United. Everything was agreed, and I phoned Kieran, and he was at Leeds United Thorpe Arch training ground, all due to sign, and they phoned me. Leeds United called me and said, "Where is he? Where's he gone?" And he's on the M5 to Bristol City. We knew nothing about it until an offer came in late afternoon. So football has a way of working, but yeah, we just have to make sure that if we bring players into the football club, they deserve our supporters. It's not the other way. They deserve our supporters, because our supporters, as we found out this season, last season before, forever, is that this football club is men in their life. So we need to make sure we protect that.
Can I just ask, when you sort of think about, you know, you join a football club, it's had a very difficult season last year. You have to reshape the squad. you sign a lot of players in the summer. But it's not easy, is it? Now, just because you've signed a lot of players doesn't mean that everything's going to come together immediately, does it? I mean, how...
I think the best example is what Sean Williams spoke of in our local paper when he spoke about how difficult it was to move away from his hometown, to move away to a new life. He's now got mummies where he can pop in for a coffee every day and family around him and support him, and it's not quite happening for him. He's either injured or not in the team, and I think it takes a little while for players to settle. Plus we've been decimated with injuries to big players, and we hope to have come through that. Now we need a little bit of luck going forward, but if we can add to the group that just makes the group overall stronger, then we're in a good place to attack the second half of the season.
So if you're close, when do you think that first one might be in? For the next league game?
Yeah, I would hope to be doing some business next week. But if it takes till the last week of the window, so be it. But I'd be hopeful that we're moving things quickly ahead next week. I've been in daily contact with our chairman and our vice chairman. Ultimately the board say yes or no to these things. But I had a brilliant hour and a half yesterday with Richard Stewart in the morning, and we went through a number of things both ways, and our chairman as well as most, if not every day. So we're in a good place to bring some players in. But I'll repeat, when I go and meet them or when we agree to chat, that I have to go away from that with the feeling they really want to come in and help Rotherham United as much as we want to help them.
And numbers wise, ideally, because you said you're quite a thin squad at the minute.
Yeah, I think maybe 3. If you said 4, chairman's probably thinking I've been telling him I'm too short on deadline day.
Maybe 5.
Yeah, maybe 5. Yeah, I think maybe if we got the three right players in, I think it'd be a good number. I think when you go forward in the second half of the season, fans would love to see you've got 28 players to pick from. It's a real problem. As an experienced manager talking, it's a real problem trying to manage 6 or 7. I listened to my opposite number for tomorrow. I listened to his views on he's got to try and manage 7 or 8 that he'll not even travel with their group today for our game tomorrow. And there's some clubs around the league like that. We can't do that. And we're Rotherham United. We need to be prudent in everything we do.
Cheers, Steve.
Thank you.
Steve, will you be sorry to see Chris go?
Yeah, for sure. I think the last 2 or 3 games he had for us, Rob, was, to me, it was more like his Wigan Athletic form before he went into Europe and come here. I think he was really starting to blossom. But Chris has sat in my office many times, really, as a human being, as a person upset with it. He missed his family, and his family had to go home and could only be here for a couple of days. And his little boy was in intensive care not so long ago, and had to give him permission to go to France and do that. He didn't need my permission. I just told him, don't bother ringing me, get on a plane and go. And so he's a real special lad, really, when you get to know him, as I've done. He made a preference to go into Europe. So offers that came in from the EFL, we had 3 of them come in, we dispelled them. I said to the chairman, we shouldn't be letting them go to these clubs. The chairman supported that, backed it 100%. And so from that point of view, it's, we'll see where his discussions go. It doesn't mean because we've agreed our side, does it mean that he has agreed his side? I know he's got a preference on the personal level in terms of logistics, but we don't know where they're going to go with him financially.
Yeah, those 3 other offers, were they all from League One?
All League One.
Yeah. Can you say what country he may be going to?
No. Only because I am told by Paul Douglas, who's like a big chief, if you like, when he phones you, it's, the offer is to come in to be totally private and confidential. So I have to respect that, and I've been told on certain terms by Richard Stewart that I have to respect that.
Okay. Cam Humphrey's CDM turned out to be a fairly inspired decision. What were you thinking about it?
Well, listen, I don't think anyone who watched Cam Humphreys, even when I thought he was sloppy in his defending, I don't think anyone can dispute how talented he is on the ball for a central defender, if you like. And I'll tell you what really inspired it. Myself and Paul Rayner sat at my house one late evening, and we were watching our Miller's team here from before. And you remember this when we pushed Carrie Anderson forward because he was costing us goals. And he becomes stunning in that position for a period of time. And then we reverted him back. And when he went back, he realised how important it was. He'd done things a little bit crisper, a little bit sharper, a little bit more concentrated. And if Cam ends up as revered as Carrie Anderson is at a football club, then he'll have a few more years here.
Reece, the last 3 games have seen 3 good results. Has the club turned a corner, do you think?
Yeah, I think obviously there's been an improvement now performances and results. I think it's now just sustaining that. We've got to make sure that we build on it. We've said it before, but we've got to make sure that we back that up now. I think you're starting to see a real togetherness and what it means when we are coming out with these performances after the game. And I think, like you say, we've just got to try and build some momentum and togetherness now and really start pushing up this division.
Does it show what you're capable of, given that the teams you're playing, you know, Stockport, Lincoln, a win at Lincoln, a result at Huddersfield, you know, what you're capable of, essentially, after a season that promised a lot, but so far has not delivered what I'm guessing you would have hoped for?
Yeah, I think that's been probably the positive in these last 3 games. I think when you're looking at the clubs that we have played against them, we've matched them and been better than them. And I think even in some of the games we've possibly been a bit unlucky, possibly not to come away with the 3 points in a draw. I think that's something that we've got to look at and take the positives, but I think it's just starting to see the signs that obviously we are starting to improve. Obviously it's took a lot longer than what we were hoping for and anticipated for, but I think the signs are there, and that's what we've got to make sure that we sort of cling on to and really try and drive and sort of progress.
Feels like this game's a big one because it's another team that, again, will have ambitions of trying to get promoted. They've probably not had the season that they were hoping for either. Win this game and it just sort of keeps things ticking along, does it?
Yeah, and I think even like with that, it just shows how difficult this division actually is. I think, like I say, both clubs would have been anticipated to be in the top 6, which obviously at the moment it's not happening, which, like I say, it's down to how tough the division actually is. There's a lot of tough places to go, and this is how competitive it is. And even with the look of those fixtures, when you look back at what we have played to now we're playing Bolton, it's a difficult league. But like I say, you've got to try and build momentum. When that momentum comes, it's hard then to stop, and that's what we've got to try and get going. And you know, partnerships are being built across the team now. Obviously, we've got more of a fully fit squad, and again, I think that just shows how now competitive it is for places here.
And you've had experiences in your career where you kind of get to this time of year, and if you can go on a run now, it can sort of time it perfectly, can't it, when you're sort of in that second half of the season?
Yeah, massively. You can see how quick it can change. I think you look at Leyton Orient, they've climbed really quickly, and I think you can see 2 or 3 good results can really change the dynamics of your season. And I think once you start building them wins, it's easy to sort of click and confidence comes and you sort of see it, and it's just a ripple effect throughout the side and with subs, everything. And I think that's something that we've just got to try and build on.
How challenging has this week been? Because it's been a challenge for everybody really with the weather and everything. How does it challenge footballers when perhaps the training ground's frozen?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's very difficult from a training aspect. It's difficult from a travelling aspect. It throws challenges, but at the end of the day, most clubs are in the same position, unless you're fortunate enough to have the facilities that some clubs might have, where they've got free access to a 3G pitch that's covered. It is difficult, but it's no good just sort of making excuses on that. You know, you've got to make sure that you're ready to go and you stay fit, and do what you can. Obviously, we've had access to bikes, things like that. Yesterday we trained inside, so it comes with its challenges, but it's not something that you can kind of dwell on. You've just got to make sure that you're ready to go for the game on Saturday.
What's it like being halfway through a season as a player? Because imagine when you start the season, your percentage of sort of freshness is quite high, but then when you get to the middle, are you actually feeling the benefit of playing loads of games and getting games in your legs, or are you getting to a point now where you do always have to manage like that second half of the season?
Yeah, I think you want to play every game, and like I say, your body kind of adapts to it. You kind of become a little bit robust, but I think the Christmas period takes it out of you. It's difficult. Your body really feels it. I feel it now as I'm getting a little bit more beyond the 30s. But no, it's good, and I think this week's been quite nice actually, with having that break and a little bit of a sort of steady pace. But like I say, I think you kind of get that bit of robustness, and you know, you just want to keep playing games and turning them out as much as possible.